Hey, it's Mark Linear with your video thought for the day. All right, this is the end of question week. And as we go into the weekend, I want to pick back up with the question that I looked at from the Bible yesterday. But before I do it, I want to tell you a story. When I was a young lawyer, in my 20s, I had an opportunity to work for a number of really good lawyers. There came a day where one lawyer that I did a lot of work for called me into his office. And he said, in essence, Linear, I have a bone to pick with you. It's a Texas expression that means I'm frustrated about something. And I said, yes, sir. And he said that there are only a handful of really, really good, he called them A-plus lawyers in Texas. And he told me that I had an impediment that was going to keep me from becoming the level of lawyer that my skill set would allow me to achieve. And I needed to change some things if I was going to become the lawyer that I could be. And then he proceeded to tell me what I needed to change. He said that I put my faith, that's an airplane going right overhead. Makes it kind of hard to hear me. He said that I put my faith and I put my family in front of the practice of law. He said I didn't need to worry about getting home for my kids' birthdays. I needed to be concentrating on paying for those birthdays. He spoke to the need to put your job first. Which brings me to the question that I was asked about yesterday by my buddy Richard. And that is, where do we find that line where we render to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's? And I used to think that it was a priority chain. I used to think in terms of you put your faith first and you put your family second and then you put your work third, or whatever it is you're about in your life. And that stuck with me for a long time, but I've thrown that away in later years because of a much better way of seeing things that Pastor Jarrett, a buddy of mine, explained to me one time. He said that the better analogy isn't ordering things in a priority chain, but it's recognizing that your commitment to God is the hub. It's the center of a wheel, and everything else is a spoke that goes out from the hub. And so if we commit ourselves to God, then that should permeate everything else we're doing. For me, that means it permeates my job. It affects the way I work. It affects why I work. It affects how I work. It affects the way I treat people. It affects everything about my work. But it's not just my work. That's one spoke. I've also got the spoke as a family man, so it affects the way I treat my wife. It affects the way I treat my children and grandchildren, my siblings. It affects my family life because I'm looking to love them with the love of God. I'm looking to be the leader in their life that God would have me be, the protector for my family, things like that. Then you've got other spokes that go out. These spokes may be your friends, they may be your hobbies, they may be all sorts of things, but all of them need to be similarly infused by the power and love of God. So true spiritual living doesn't come from divorcing work and matters of Caesar from matters of God. It actually involves giving everything to God, but recognizing that He calls us to live in all these different spokes. And so what we then need to do is live in those spokes by His guidance and wisdom and strength. And in doing that, we give the world what is the world's, but we also honor God with our hearts and everything we do. Think about it this weekend, because it is your video thought for the day.